AO log something point oh. I'm actually not sure, but it's been a while, I think, so the Northeast. A lot to be said. Obviously, it's the idea when I come into them now is that it's not just a regular weekly update. It's I feel compelled to kind of come and talk, if only to record for my own purposes later in life. What was so significant about like this last week or whatnot. So that said, time is Saturday, May 14th, 1:14 a.m. UK time, London time. So last week, this time last week, was it this time last week? Yes, this time last week, I was in Madeira, volcanic island off the coast of Africa. It's a Portuguese island with the rest of my company. Granted, not everybody can make it, but the vast majority could. I think we're a total of 23 people and all but 4 could make it. So 19 total of us were there together, including one girl her first day was there in Madeira with us. That was technically her first day with us, right? We had worked with her previously at another company, so there was some familiarity. And found out she was leaving that other company and reached out about her joining us, and there's a whole story to tell there too, because I'll get to it, right? But but she joined, even her first day was in Madeira with DG. And then we had 2 that couldn't make it because they're in Russia, very restricted. We had one that couldn't because he had like some visa issues. He couldn't seem to secure his visa. I think he's actually an Indian citizen initially. Needed a visa or something. I'm not exactly sure. That's what was said, but I'm not sure like what the issue was. And then one more that couldn't because he's, a father, right? Father, husband with kids. And I think maybe another week, possibly he maybe could have joined, but anyways, he couldn't this one, but hopefully there'll be others. And very, amazing experience, honestly. I had a lot of trepidation going into it about how it play out because, so many things can go wrong, I suppose. Even a matter of like somebody not being able to make it, somebody getting left behind, I don't know, right? Somebody getting in trouble, somebody hurting themselves, somebody acted inappropriately, even maybe, right? Drama could occur within the company doing something like this. Who knows, I remember from my Yammer days, even just after the holiday party, all this talk and chatter and rumors and stuff about what guy did, said what or even did what to what girl, like inappropriately. And unfortunately, there's none of that, at least I was aware of, and made sure to kind of put out some feelers for it, see if there was any, honestly. Apparently not any, so this is fantastic, right? But like, all those kind of concerns aside, just saying I'm leading with like, oh, these concerns didn't happen. More importantly, what did happen was a great trip, like made possible by one of our earliest employees. I think she's it's her the CEO and her the longest here. And they're the king and queen of the company, right? Like, not to say there's anything necessarily between them, but that there is what they are, right? The king and the queen of the company. And she's from Madeira herself, so perfect. She was able to actually kind of coordinate a lot for us as a native. She had friends, I guess, that do this as a job, I think, right? Is putting on these tours in Madeira. So she hooked us up with them, and they helped out with a lot of getting these buses to get us from here to there and what we do once we get there, etc. Her mother herself owns and runs a restaurant, right? So we all ate at her mother's restaurant for lunch one day. Her uncle has a couple of restaurants. We had one of her uncle's restaurants another day. Madeira is a beautiful island. What's interesting about it, though, no sand beaches. It's a volcanic island, no sand beaches, but beautiful island. It's just the terrain there reminds me of like Jurassic Park in some places. It's crazy. swam in the sea, plenty, right? It was great. Got more sun than maybe I should have, to be honest, right? But happy to have a little, significant base tan before the summer even technically starts. So, I'm not complaining. But did it get my, very typical initial lobster face, tomato face, and just telling myself it'll turn into a tan, right? And yeah, we even had some people stay extra. So it was Tuesday through Friday for everybody. Told all our customers would be off as a company. So the first time we've told them this, we've done, weeks off, company week off before, but this is our first actually as a company going somewhere together like this, right? First real retreat. Something that I was really kind of pushing for internally, right? And people acknowledge as much that, maybe wouldn't have happened if it weren't for all my prodding. And part of that prodding from me comes from the fact that I've been a part of a lot of companies. And this is the first one where I felt like something like this was even really possible. We're a very young company. Only one person has kids. And that's of 23 people. We've built this very good, strong dynamic in this team. I feel like we have a good core group. And even though some people are like relatively new, there's a good core that is not just like, connected to one another, but welcoming and open, to others as well, right? So I just saw it as an opportunity, rare opportunity for a company that can do it and that should do it, to try and get them to. And it's something they wanted to do too. So it's not like I, seeded the idea necessarily. I was just very, didn't want it to like not happen and wanted it to happen like, sooner than later and not kick the can down the road. Especially because we set this like benchmark and we hit that benchmark right there at the end of last year. And now 5 months later, we finally, did the getaway. I just didn't want to delay, right? Because there was some discussion about maybe doing it another time without even a good idea of what other time would even work. Happened to be the flower festival in Madeira too. So coincided with that just coincidentally. And yeah, I don't know what more to say except it was very cool, very pleased, very happy. And it wasn't necessarily a vacation for me in a sense. I got to relax. I felt very responsible for my team in particular. And even someone was saying I was like the father of, I was playing like the father role, and definitely felt that to a degree too. But had a good time, and we'll be, more importantly, the rest of the company did too, and the CEO did as well. And this won't be the last time we do something like this, because going into it, I thought it could easily be a one and done. I was like, as we get bigger, it'll just get more complicated to coordinate. What's more, like, we're really benefiting from the fact that we're going to Madeira this time, and Nadia, who's like, who's from Madeira, and the queen of the company is able to coordinate all this for us. If we go anywhere else in the world, we will have this degree of coverage, so to speak. I know that's not the right word, but that said, one of the other girls today said, oh, I have connections in Tuscany, basically, and that's where the CEO like floated going next. Granted, no sea there, but apparently very beautiful. And I know he's a big fan of Italy, and she did say that. So who knows? We are a very international company. It's we could maybe tap into everyone's kind of home countries to a degree. I'm not sure how keen many would be to go to Romania, for instance, right? But we have an Italian, we have a Madeiran. I could even host in Turkey to a degree. I'm sure it'd be very stressful for me to try and figure out, not being able to speak Turkish either, right? But like in Cheshire or something, I'm sure I can have Mehmet or someone help me and host, people there too. So yeah, I mean, yeah, it was a really crowning achievement. So what was interesting was that there was this discussion about how we should leverage this retreat to discuss like cultural values, that kind of thing, which we've never really have. We did one session where it was more kind of like a brainstorming session about a year ago. But it was purely like brainstorming, and then we never did a follow-up session to kind of distill or distill basically. And that was so long ago at this point too. So I talked to CEO, I was like, look, I even know people are expecting a degree of this, and for us not to address this in any way, I feel would be a avoidance, right? Us avoiding it, it's almost expected. And I know we're not the type to talk culture, and I think the moment your company starts talking about its culture is kind of the beginning of the death of it. But there is something to be said about like principles, right? And such that like really matter, and that we, really already as that like original 8 embodied, and would like to see the company continue to embody, or everybody continue to embody, right? I mean, we brought ourselves back from the what is the fucking cusp of insolvency. I mean, when I first came out here and saw what we had in the bank, we didn't even have enough to properly let people go. I had more money in my bank account than the company did, goddamn, 30K in the bank account for the whole company. Crazy, right? To go from that to being profitable, to being very successful on every given metric, I think you can really like look at. I mean, the one where maybe we could be more successful is just greater volume of deals, more deals, but with tiny sales team of 1 AE, 1 BDR. I mean, given what the ratio, right? Sales yield is a great, if you look at the metric of sales yield, right? Fucking fantastic, right? So yeah, so in some sense, this whole, and honestly with Corona too, and us relinquishing the office and everyone moving remote, that's when this discussion originally started of what we save in not paying for an office, we could spend on getting everybody together somewhere nice, right? On the quarterly or something was even said at one point, right? So I think that was the original seed, and then it kind of evolved into like at some key benchmark, let's do something like this, like we did, and we did, and we hit the benchmark, we pulled it off, all went through. I mean, really kind of beautifully, honestly. Yeah, so so on the kind of cultural thing, so in talking, I had dinner with the CEO, like I think the last day of the week before we all left, whenever it was, right? I was saying we got to do some element of something, right? And the long story short, ultimately what he ended up doing was send no rules, right? In this audio, the book, or its actual book, right? But everyone do a little homework and read no rules. So just kind of like sow that seed of like maybe a framework. Not to say that we're going to subscribe to this kind of framework in its entirety or fully, but it's a good like starting point to kind of maybe talk around or think about or lay the foundation for real discussion, right? So I was really happy we kind of came to that, and he sent that out to everybody. And then it becomes a kind of inside joke, oh, no rules kind of thing, or somebody cites something, or if somebody says, oh, it's like a family, oh, we're not a family, sort of thing, like, but oh, fuck you, I don't care. I think of it as a family, so it's like, it was good, right? Just to kind of give it some element of that, right? That said, though, there was no real cultural conversation. It was purely, really just everybody enjoy yourselves, gel. At one point, we were all sitting around the table, and the CEO did discuss kind of the status of investment, and even less so than like the status of investment, even though he did do that piece. What he led with was, how does everybody feel about that? And the original 8, right, had a lot of trepidation about taking this more money, because they've seen how bad it was previously when we got even more money, like 15 million, and used it so badly, basically. And the company blew up, went from however many it was, I don't know, but we got as high as 68 people. And we were more dysfunctional with 68 people than we were with 8. More importantly, we accomplished more with 8 than we could with 68, right? So there was this like real reservation about what the money might mean and how it might change us, and where would we use it, and these kind of, points raised, Q&A. So there was that. That was very impromptu around the table at one point. And then on the last dinner day, I stepped up and said, everybody kind of, I want just love to hear you say a word about DG. It could be a word, it could be a few words, whatever it may be, just something about DG. First one up was, the queen of DG says, this has been like a family for me. I say, hey, no, it's like, not like, so fuck you. She didn't say fuck you, but basically, well, fuck you, yeah. Don't interrupt my word, right? And then everyone went around, right? The last one before the CEO ended up being me. I give a very weak one, unusual for me. Very quick one as well. So quick that the girl in front of me said, you should have spoke longer. And she's right, right? And I said, oh, there was a cadence. I was trying to keep up some BS like excuse. I partially I wasn't sure what to say, but like, I think I just kind of froze, which is rare for me. Usually with those things, that's really where I shine. But I wasn't really necessarily trying to shine right there. And this is some other point about the trip for me personally I want to get to in a sec. But ultimately, I just said, I just passed cheers to the our fearless captain, because, CEO is obviously up next and last, and pass it along. But what I would have said if I, in retrospect, and I even touched on this with the others on the team previously, so it would have been very easy to just resurface this concept, and I don't know why maybe I blanked on it, but is this concept of Ubuntu. I am who I am because of who we all are, right? And I think that is a very important concept on any given team. And I'll use an example of, like, for me at DG, basically, when I came here, I was one of the oldest. That was the first time I've always been one of the youngest in the company. All of a sudden, I joined here, I quickly was one of the oldest. Now, granted, some of that comes with just getting older, I get it, but I am who I am because of who you all are, like I am, like I said earlier, maybe that more father figure because you're all younger than me. And maybe if I was the youngest, I wouldn't be that father figure. Who you are changes kind of who I am, how I am. And I've also seen this in other like startups. I remember one guy that's like chief product officer we hired this other startup in the very early days, this other company I was at. And when he came, I just thought he was a total culture misfit. And he was kind of an asshole, kind of a prick a little bit, I feel like, at least initially, and was for a while, right? But I feel like the company kind of changed him. Maybe he just got more comfortable. Maybe he just, it was just a defense mechanism initially. But I do feel like very strongly that he did change and kind of become more of a cultural fit. And it's this thing of I am who I am because of who we all are, right? In my mind's eye, at least. Now, what does that mean in terms of a DDG, or like how would I tie it together? Maybe that's what I was missing in terms of like driving it home, right? Is because DG, but like, with DG, I've never worked harder at a company in my entire life. I've never worked harder, period, at anything, period, in my entire fucking life, right? And everyone at DG is incredibly hardworking as well. And, there was some other motivations for me working so hard in this company initially, because basically if I couldn't keep this job, I wouldn't be able to get another. But ultimately, they're all hard workers as well. And I like to think that how hard I work, kind of trickles down, to my employees too, or is felt by the rest of the team. And it's definitely felt and appreciated. And I think, not even me specifically, just seeing other people work hard as well gets you working hard too. And it's just raises the bar, raises the level of performance for everybody, right? Similarly, if somebody's not working as hard, that can really drag down the team, right? Or drag down morale, right? So coming to the concept of like no rules, this idea of like, high performance, and, a good performer, just a good performer deserves a, good severance package. Just good to average, whatever it may be. If they're not great, like, just let them go. And that's something I'm wrangling with this week. Have been wrangling with for a while, actually. But we'll circle back to that in a bit. that said, what I will say about like a takeaway from Madeira. So I wasn't taking my Vyvanse Madeira, so I was a little bit brain dead. I wanted to give my brain a rest, but at the same time, I'm a little bit brain dead. In retrospect, do I regret it? Maybe I should have just been taking it, right? It's just, I don't know. But what really hit home with me while out there was that everyone is very foodie. Everyone, not everyone, but like, and I'm obviously hyperbolizing here, but people say, "Oh, I love carpaccio." I don't even know what carpaccio is. What kind of fish is that? Is that even a fish? Am I mispronouncing it? I don't know. Or they make the best coffee. I don't even know what kind of coffee I like, right? Like, I know drinking it, do I like it? But if you ask me to describe the notes or the flavor, I couldn't tell you, I don't think. And, can I describe what kind of coffee I like to somebody? Definitely not. Phil's, like Tesora. I mean, is that when I first drank Phil's, I was like, is this even fucking coffee? Istanbul treat, Phil's way, medium. But I don't know this shit, and people do, right? And wine, people know what wine they like. I don't know what fucking wine I like. Red, earlier in the week, the two North American girls arrived there, and we were, in London, and like, they're ordering like cocktails and stuff. And by the way, I am done with cocktails. I was done with cocktails long ago. But like, I'm really over them, man. Just give me a fucking scotch on ice, and I feel like I feel the drunk faster. You might be telling me there's all sorts of alcohol in that cocktail. It may be true, but I feel like I feel it faster with proper, just straight scotch. Well, not straight, but give me a little bit of ice. And I just feel like I waste my time with cocktails, to be honest. But like, even, what kind of brew do I like? Brut, or do I like rosé champagne? I'm not sure, right? Oh, espresso martini, I know I like that. I know I like how I like my martinis at least, but given the option, I'm still reaching for that Red Bull vodka at fucking 30, almost 34, right? So I feel like a little bit stunted, man, in my life, and like, and like a lot of those things I don't necessarily care about, and I still don't really care about, right? And that's maybe why I don't know, though. But there is something to be said about being a little bit more cultured, that I feel like I'm lacking. And I've always made the excuse that I don't care, but like, come on, man, like, just like I think it's important to know, how you like your martini. Come on, like, figure out what kind of coffee you like, figure out what kind of, I really don't like fish much, just in general, right? But this is a very minor part. I'm starting with like the minor, I'll build my way up. Then I see this girl, she's like 1 year younger. She's so fit, right? Another guy, granted, he's a lot younger than me. He's so fit, right? And I'm just like, man, I really need to work out. Like, there's no excuse for me being as out of shape as I am. Then, leading up to the thing, I'm also looking at my teeth. Dude, there's like brownness down here. What is the fuck is that, right? And I noticed a little while ago, but leading up to Madeira, and like, you realize you're about to be social, you kind of look a little bit more closely at yourself in the mirror, right? And I'm like, dude, I really haven't been keeping on my teeth. I've touched on this before. I know this is not news, it's not revelation, right? But what I'm saying is, like, the last 5 years, not just 2 years I've been here, but last 5 years I've been a part of this company. Next month will be 5 years. So just about next year will be 5 years, right? So I'm nearly at 5. I've been so one-dimensional, man. Like, it's just been work. And haven't done any of the other things, haven't eaten right, haven't worked out, haven't dated. I mean, this job's been kryptonite for my date life, bro. In the last dude, like, it's been so bad. It's embarrassing. I don't even think I could bring myself to admit it here and now. Wow, right? So no dating, no working out, no eating right, not even taking care of your teeth, right? I'll just work, right? And then when not working, what are you really doing? You're just vegetating, watching Netflix or TikTok, right? Especially in the last 2 years. And prior to that, maybe at least you were going out on the weekends with your buddies, but is that any better, more constructive? I'm not sure, especially if it didn't lead to any fucking dating, So, so yeah, man, the one-dimensionalness is a little bit bothersome. for me. And all of a sudden, with this Madeira trip, which really is kind of like this crowning achievement, you know, like what I came here to do is done. I did what I came out to do, which was save the company and achieve some major metrics, some like golden standard. I did both. I could leave right now and hold my head up high. More importantly, I could leave right now and I think the company would be fine. Maybe a little bit of struggle, sure, right? I mean, if I think struggle a little bit, if I left, then you know, what the fuck am I really doing, right? But they'd be fine, right? Like this company will be fine. So it's this moment of like accomplishment. We're celebrating accomplishment with this trip. Now there is supposed to be a little bit of forward looking too, which there wasn't, by the way. And I appreciate the celebration, but I'm lacking personally my own personal forward looking, what next, what now, you know? And if you ask me what next, what now, and I'm honest with you, it's like, what now? I need a woman in my life, right? But I feel like I'm jumping a couple of steps by saying that. Like, but if I could just have that now, here and now, right? But I feel like I got everything but the girl. Sure, I need to take better care of my teeth. Sure, I'm gonna have to go get some fucking fillings, no less, right? Or get this wisdom tooth pulled that's just rotting in the back, right? Like straight up, like decaying. It's like it broke long ago and it's just been decaying since. Sure, I need to do things, work out, eat right, blah blah blah, but like really, like the whole goal here is that like significant other, LOML, you know, like SOLML, SOLML sort of thing. And I'm so far from it, and to think how I'll even meet them, find them, and then the idea of like really getting to know seems so exhausting, bro. Seems so exhausting. I'm just like, it's hard to get motivated about that, right? The goal is to get a girl. That's the next big goal. I mean, and then the other thing, well, what about the company? This company that's been my goal every step of the way. Well, there's new goals for this company, right? Of course. But am I as motivated by them? Not really, to be honest. Maybe that'll change once I finally get this equity package, once we get this round done and this cap table, the recap complete. Maybe I'll be able to look at what I'm entitled to and do the math on if we sold for what I would walk away with. Maybe that's will be the extra motivation I need. But like, you know, the idea of getting to 10 million seems so far away. That is, to be quite honest, the next big goal. There are other goals between now and then, but like the next big one is, I guess, 5 then 10, right? Sure. But the job gets less interesting as I become more of a manager, I'll be honest. I do really enjoy the one-on-ones with my team. Today alone, I had one girl crying. Not that I made her cry, but like, you know, she's very overwhelmed, right? And I feel like that was a really good one-on-one. I think, not to pat myself on the back, but like, I think I did in that kind of manager, well, I think I'm actually okay at, right? But what I'm, you know, not such a fan of like doing is, okay, now as I'm trying to like look to let go one of these girls, is like we never did any like formal performance review, right? So because we did no formal performance review, there's no written thing, and the UK laws are different. So to let somebody go, you gotta show evidence and this and that. And I'm so unaccustomed to it. I'm just from America. I'm like, it's at will employment. If we want to let you go, can let you go. But no, that's not the case if they've been there 2 years or longer, right? Sort of thing. So that whole thing, and I don't want to, I mean, I love her, but she's special to me in my life, right? But like the performance just isn't there. It hasn't been there, and it's been 2 years and still not there, sort of thing. You know, per the no rules is rules, right? You know, the let go, you know. But that kind of blew up in my face a little bit this week as well, because we hired this other person, right? And I was explaining that she'll be taking on kind of the German accounts. But she happens to have a lot of the German accounts. So then she's like, well, if they take all my German accounts, then what am I left with? And et cetera, et cetera. And it just unraveled badly, basically. then with this other girl that we just hired, she's in Germany, but she's a Russian citizen in Germany. So we had to hire her through this company that has these like entities, or an entity in Germany, hire her as a consultant through them. So technically they hire her and then license her to us or whatever, all this legal bullshit basically. And it was all signed, and she came to start. Like I said, this is the one whose first day was in Madeira with us. And then when we get back, this company comes back to us and says, actually, they pulled the rug out from under us. Actually, we're going to reject this. So what it is I sign, she signs. What's left for them is to them to sign. We all did our signing pieces, and then it was sitting with them to sign for like way too long. And we're like, what the heck is happening? And then eventually they came back and say, actually, we're not going to proceed with this. This is after we already explained the situation with the sales rep, made sure the sales rep escalated internally to double check that all would be okay. And I guess they just decided to change their company policy in that 1 week between getting this reassurance and getting that signature in. Crazy, right? So now we have somebody in the company that's technically not an employee of the company. This like the worst case scenario, hop on a call with, they told us this on Wednesday. I hop on a call with them on Thursday, and I get out of them that it's just purely a company policy, and it's because they feel the pressure from their investors or whatever. But it's really a discriminatory practice. You're saying that they won't hire any Russians unless they're in Armenia or UAE. So now I got to find another provider. We got to find another provider. I scramble to find another that will. Every other one we spoke with said, no, not a problem, right? So it's literally the one we picked decided to do differently. What are the odds? But every other one says no issue. But that said, the one we picked said no issue too until the last minute. So we'll see. So we're basically found 3 decent ones that I guess we're comfortable move forward. We'll start with the one that I feel the best about. If that doesn't work, we'll go to the second or third. Because no matter what they say it'll work. I'm not convinced until all signatures are final at this juncture. And I think I need to hustle too, because it may very well be that if this one company makes this company policy change, other companies may feel the pressure to do the same. And all of a sudden, a week from now, this one company that said it's okay will say it's not, just like the previous company Deal, by the way, we work with, did to us. And I mean, that's I'll never work with them ever. I mean, that's that damning, dude. Like they were nice, sure, whatever, right? But like, and even like when I talked to the person, they brought in their legal specialist to explain. The lady comes in, so hey guys, just trying to be like, dude, this is not a smiling situation, right? We have a girl here is distressed because I mean, is frustrated. Employee is frustrated. She's supposed to be she's been, not she's done any real work, right? But like, she's supposed to be an employee of ours since the 3rd. So horrible. This is the worst case scenario. Don't come in all smiley wiley, right? And then like she came out of the frame, I think, I don't know, to do something. I'm not even sure, maybe a cat or something. Who knows? I'm just guessing. And I just stopped talking because she did it as I was talking. I just stopped talking. I kid you not, 1 beat, 2 beat, 3 beat, 4 beat. And then she came back 5 beat, I think, right? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm like, well, this is a sensitive situation. I'm talking and I don't know what it was you did. Maybe it's some babies, who knows, right? But yeah, so anyways, now scrambling to find another option. And all this shit is just crazy. And I got to send any MSA. It's a 3-way contract. I've got to send it to now this like German, not our lawyers in the UK, but our UK lawyers' German arm, so that they can review it, validate that it's okay. And then, yeah, whatever. On top of that, I gotta speak with this law firm about this process to, potentially, let me just say, potentially let go of this employee. I mean, and how hard that, I mean, I never felt more American, man, than reading what it takes for us to let go of somebody, basically. I mean, we're going to offer an incredible severance package. Honestly, that's the way this has got to be done, because she's got to accept like a settlement. Otherwise, I've got to pull together all sorts of like evidence. And we've never done any informal reviews. So any evidence would have to be pulled from Zoom recordings, and I'd have to comb through however fucking many, find snippets, and even then it's still not written. Does it qualify for burden of proof? I mean, tell me everything has to be fucking written, right? Now I have to do performance reviews for all my team. One of my top performers, the US one, wanted one anyways for this annual review because she's hitting her year mark. I said, look, we haven't done any ever, but I'm happy to work with you to do one for you. But I would want to do it for everyone. So let me like, run this by others. Because I don't want to just do one thing for you and not for others, right? And then I run it by my other employee and he says, no, I would feel completely infantilized if you did that. I don't want that at all. Oh wow, polar opposite, right? And then I'd speak with a third one, and she comes in between the two of them and says, it's not really necessary, but yeah, maybe at like the year mark. And then ultimately what I've settled on, at least in my mind, is at this time is one at the 6 month mark, one at the year mark, and one at every other year mark, every year mark thereafter, right? Not every 6 months necessarily, right? But the first 6 months makes sense. And then but then Jesus, if I want to let go of somebody before 2 years, we have to do every 6 months just so I have like a fucking written record. Otherwise, what, 23 months in, the last written review would be, 11 months ago. I don't know. We're just a fucking startup, bro. Anyways, feeling very American in this regard, right? Like I'm all for protections of employee. I feel like I've been wrongfully terminated myself. I was like on the verge of, kind of filing wrongful termination too. So I get it, but like, I don't know why you have to make it so hard to let somebody go, right? Like that, quite like that, right? I don't know, it's protecting the per employee. I shouldn't be so corporate about it. I'm coming from the wrong angle, I guess. But I mean, I feel like if you're under 50 employees, it's a little bit different, dude. Like, I think it makes sense the big companies maybe, but like a little startup, we're expected to do all these performance reviews and cut them. Anywho, so that's that. So I've been dealing with all that this week, and then what else? Coming back from Madeira, the deepest fucking depression. It was weird. So I mean, I was like, I even told one of my employees I need to see a therapist, and that's a very weird thing to say to your employee, basically. But sitting at one-on-one, and she's my sounding board, basically. But yeah, man, I'm having a hard time visualizing where to from here for me, honestly. I really am. And at the beginning of the week, I was even thinking about just quitting the company. On Monday, I was thinking about just straight quitting. After all that, Madeira, for me to turn around and quit, why? Where was that coming from? And that's why I was like, I really need to see a therapist because this doesn't make sense, right? Sure, there's this templatized situation of sorts where somebody, accomplishes the thing, and then there's this depression, right? They accomplish it, and either it wasn't what they thought it would be, or maybe it is, but then it's like, well, what now, and for me, it's what I thought it would be, but there's also like, what now, and yeah, man. Oh, I even talked to my dad, dude, on Wednesday, like about this. That degree of, I mean, that should tell you something. Anyone who knows me or knows him or knows us, the fact that like I would talk to him and kind of confessionalize this is significant. And his big prescription is you got to find a girl, right? Always, always, always. But he has some other good advice as well. He really does have like, he does have, not to, blow enlarge his ego or whatnot, but he does have good advice. Whereas my mom is horrible with advice. She really is. Women love her though. She's a woman's woman, but her advice. And my brother said the same when we were hanging out. By the way, so my brother, not last week, the previous week, right before the North Americans came to London, that whole week, I was with him, stretching back to like Easter, right? It was the weekend him and his wife, right, did go to like France and stuff, but we went up all together, me, him, his wife, see the grandparents, spend Easter with them. It was great. It was good. And then even spent some time in London together. And then his wife left for Spain or Portugal or something, and then it was just him and me for a couple of days. And I was telling him this too at that time, was that I don't know what next, and I was showing him. Finally got around to documenting my assets. So I used to have this, I still do, obviously, but before moving here, I had this assets Excel spreadsheet, and I would look at it multiple times a day. Nothing changed maybe so much in a day, right? Nothing changed, period, right? But I look at multiple times a day, I feel like, and always be adding to editing, right? And I saved a lot of money in that time too. Then I moved out here. I don't think I updated it once, right? I think maybe once when I moved out here. So I went the last 2 years without tracking my money at all. I mean, I just know that I have more money in my bank account than I did. Did I track like how much I saved? No. Okay, sure, great. As long as I guess I'm not going negative, you know? So I know I'm saving more money. I don't know how much or what pace or whatever, right? And I just kind of left it all behind, right? By design to a degree. I was like, dude, I worried so much about money, you know, in the lead up to London. Like now I'm here, fuck it. I'm just gonna go a stretch without worrying one bit. And that's how I led my life up until 27, up until right before I turned 28. Up until right before I turned 28, there's a concerted is the wrong word, but like very deliberate, not going to worry about money. Just so long as I'm not in debt, all as well, I'll spend whatever, wherever, however I want. Fortunately, I'm not a huge spender, right? So it wasn't so bad, but that by design wasn't even in trying to save. Then at 27 made a change, and then I lost my job, and then this whole like hospitalization, jail, legal issues, being unable to get another job, getting offer letters, but then and signing employment agreements, but then them rescinding the offers after they did a background check, and went 9 months between getting out of jail / hospital, out of hospital after jail, to finally getting a fucking job, right? And was down to $100, like a couple of $100 in my bank account, and no more EDD installments the very week that I got that job offer. So it's like destiny, I should take this job, right? No more EDD havens coming through. I only have a few $100 left in my name, period. Fortunately, I did have some stock that I hadn't cashed out yet, but like, then I did, right? And then from there, I started saving money again, and now I've saved a good amount. I mean, like $250,000 or whatever, but which gives me a lot of freedom to like say, hey, I'm done with this, did what I needed to, can go have enough money to basically do whatever, whether it's a down payment on a house, travel the world, or sit on my ass and do squat shit for a good amount of years. But what is it that I want to do next, right? What is the next? That's the thing. And the next is like, no doubt, no shit, right? Fucking boy, work the fuck out, take care of your teeth, eat right, get out, date. Surprise, surprise, how basic. But it's so basic that like, but for me, it's not basic. For me, it's like a big deal because I haven't done any of that in like a long ass time. I haven't worked out since really high school. Ate right. I've never fed myself right. I've never I never ate out right either. And my extent of eating right was whatever my mom made me, which wasn't so eating right either. Or there was this one time in Zepsu where I paid a girl to make my meals for me for 30 days. Yeah, so she offered it. And I was all down with it. And she's doing this whole thing, whole food challenge or whatever for herself. And basically I said, okay, I'll pay for your meals, my meals, I'll pay for us to do it. You make it, I'll eat it and pay for it, right? And you have your shit for free. And I think a little bit extra on top, right? For your efforts. But yeah, that was probably the healthiest I ever eaten, honestly. And that was good, I will say. But if I had to put together that preparation, nah, bro, it's not happening. But am I selling myself short? Am I saying that I'm being exactly what I'm trying not to be, which is just a lazy ass? Oh no, I'm not gonna do that. Why not? Just do it, dude. I don't care that much. Well, you should. Fuck it. Let me just start one step at a time. I'll just brush my teeth better, and I will work out, and then I'll get to the eating right. I'm averaging like probably on average, probably a can of Coke and a half a day. Hella juice. And when I say juice, like I mean even just like juice like this, dude. I mean, let's just look at what's around me, right? Yeah, this juice, this is just like pure sugar, bro. Like this is Turkish peach juice. That's that. And then you can see here, I got Coke right here, right? I mean, So when I think about eating right, I think it starts with maybe just cutting out some of that. All right, let's start there. Maybe not order the burger and the pizza, right? Maybe just try something else, right? Like, but yeah, was a real deep, serious depression. I went a little bit, I took a little extra lithium, right? And felt better for it. So thank God I got that kind of dial I can, if need be. Part of it was also maybe beginning of the week. Part of it's what, post-vacation blues or whatever. Part of it is other stuff too. I'm not even talking about it now. Part of it is also, this employee, letting go of somebody I really care about potentially, and trying to bring on somebody else, and Russian issues, right? I mean, this Russian Ukrainian issue has impacted our company so crazily, right? Our CEO has family there, from there, mothers from there, fathers from there. Father has other kids there, mother has other kids there. So many friends, family, people in Ukraine, right? For him, it took him out of the equation for a bit. Another one that has family and friends in Ukraine, has friends in Ukraine, went to college in Ukraine, right? We have two employees that are in Russia that for a bit we couldn't even get them money, right? And have been working on trying to get them from Russia to Lithuania, and that's in flight currently, right? We have now this employee that I hired, Russian citizen, living and working in Germany since 2018, and we're struggling, to be able to hire her because she's Russian, purely because she's Russian. So yeah, there's all that, none of which is fun to deal with. And the last sort of stuff you want to deal with when you're like kind of not, when you're depressed, right? It's like all this stuff where it's bad enough when you're not sure what the right thing to say is, but it's even worse when you're not sure what the right thing to say is when you're depressed and when the situation is sensitive and there's even like legal like repercussions in the air, right? And there's emotion and connection and what else to say, what else to say? What did my notebook say? Yeah, as far as my notebook said. Well, with that said, I'll leave it with one more thing, which is this anecdote. I think it's called like the Thermopylae ship or something, or I'm sure it has like a name, this concept. But the idea is if a ship leaves the harbor, goes all the way around the world, and in its route around the world, every piece of it changes. So much so that when it comes back full circle to the harbor once more, no piece of that ship is the same as when it left. Every piece of that ship is different upon return. Is it the same ship? And with that said, all I want to say is be happy, do good, and I love you, Mom.